Shadow, release!
Jason Lewis hadn't planned on saving anyone. Shadow stopped mid-stride. Full alert stance, ears forward, body rigid, nose working the air. What is it, boy? Shadow didn't move, just stared into the canyon below. Jason pulled out his binoculars, scanned. Nothing. Nothing. Then there, metal catching light. A patrol vehicle. Doors open. Engine still ticking. His hand went to his Glock. 15 rounds. We're going off mission, buddy. Shadow's tail didn't wag. He understood. They moved down the slope. Jason's combat brain kicked in, the one that never really shut off, just waited. 20 yards from the SUV, Shadow went low. Full stock mode.
Who is responsible?
Jason dropped to a crouch. Listened.
Is that the evidence
Breathing.
drive?
Rapid, shallow.
How many victims are there?
Someone trying very
Shadow,
hard to stay
release!
quiet. He circled wide using terrain. Shadow mirrored him. Then Jason saw her. Female officer, maybe 30. Blood on her shoulder, more on her leg. Her uniform shirt torn into a tourniquet. Her service weapon pointed at her own temple. Don't. The officer's head snapped toward him. The gun didn't move. I said don't. Jason kept his hands visible. I'm not who you think I am. Get back. Her voice was destroyed. He's still out there. Who's still out there? Sniper, 600 yards. He's been toying with me for... She stopped. How long have I been here? Jason glanced at the SUV. 2 hours, maybe 3. Feels like days. The gun wavered. You need to leave. He'll kill you too. Where's he shooting from? North Ridge. Maybe northeast. I can't think straight. What's your name? Vance. Officer Aria Vance. Red Rock Flats PD. Jason Lewis. Lower that weapon. You don't understand. I'm out of water. Out of options. I've got 1 round left and I'm not... Her voice cracked. I'm not letting him take me alive. That's not going to happen. You don't know what he... The crack of the rifle cut her off. Jason dove behind the SUV before the echo reached them. The round punched through the driver's window and buried itself in the passenger headrest. Shadow was already there, pressed against metal. Aria hadn't moved, hadn't flinched. He's been doing that, she said quietly. Every 20 minutes. Reminding me he's there. Reminding me I can't run. Jason's mind worked angles, distances, solutions. The sniper had patience. Military trained. The shots were precise, meant to terrorize, not kill. Not yet. Why you? Jason asked. Why is someone trying to kill a small-town cop? Aria's laugh was bitter. Because I wouldn't stay small-town. She shifted, winced. Jason could see the tourniquet was too loose. She was still bleeding. At this rate, in this heat, she had maybe an hour. I've been investigating Silas Croft, she said. Mining magnate. Owns half the county, including the sheriff. She closed her eyes. I found evidence he's dumping chemical waste into the aquifer. I was on my way to the state AG when... Another shot. Closer. It took off the SUV's side mirror 6 inches from Jason's head. He's getting impatient, Aria said. Yeah, me too. Jason looked at Shadow. The dog was watching him, waiting. 12 years of combat operations. Shadow had never failed him. Not once. I'm going to do something stupid, Jason said. And I need you to trust me. I don't even know you. Then trust the dog. Jason turned to Shadow, dropped into old hand signals. The dog's ears perked up. Zag, go. Shadow exploded from cover. The German Shepherd burst into open desert, moving in the erratic zigzag pattern they'd drilled 1,000 times. Designed to confuse aim, designed to draw fire. The rifle cracked. Missed. Shadow cut left. Another shot. Missed. Shadow cut right. Jason didn't watch. He was already moving, sprinting across 20 yards of open ground, trusting Shadow to keep the sniper's attention. He slid behind the SUV next to Arya. His shoulder slammed into hers. She gasped. Sorry. Jason assessed her wounds. Shoulder was through and through. Leg wound was worse. Ricochet had torn through her quad. How much water have you had? None, since last night. Jesus. Jason pulled his bottle, held it to her lips. Slow. Don't chug. She drank like a woman who'd forgotten what water tasted like. He let her have half, then pulled it away. That's all for now. Another shot rang out. Jason heard Shadow yelp, not in pain, but excitement. The dog was enjoying this. Your dog is insane, Arya said. Yeah, runs in the family. Jason whistled, sharp, two-toned. Shadow broke off and circled back, taking cover in a dry wash. Safe. He's up there somewhere, and he's not leaving, Jason said. Which means we're not leaving either, not in this heat, not with you bleeding. So what's the plan? Working on it. Shadow started barking, his find bark. The bark that meant he'd located something important. Jason risked a look. The dog was 50 yards out, pawing at something near rocks. Stay here. Where would I go? Jason moved fast, staying low. The sniper had to be tracking him, but no shots came. He reached Shadow and looked down. A backpack. Civilian model. Expensive. Inside, Jason's blood went cold. GPS unit. Still powered on. 3 saved waypoints. Croft mine. Ambush point. Vance vehicle. Kill zone. Extraction. Mineshaft 3. And a scope. High-end. Military grade. With an engraved serial number Jason recognized from Afghanistan. Contractor equipment. This wasn't some hired thug. This was a professional. Jason grabbed the GPS and scope and ran back to Arya. This yours? He held up the backpack. Her eyes went wide. That's evidence. From Croft's operation. I had it locked in my trunk. Not anymore. How did it get out here? Someone planted it. Someone who wanted you dead and wanted the evidence found with your body. Make it look like you died investigating. Case closed. Arya's face went pale. The sheriff. He's the only one who knew I had that evidence. You know Sheriff Brody. I know he's been on the job 40 years. 40 years in Croft's pocket. Arya gripped Jason's arm. If the sheriff's involved, nobody's coming to help. I called it in 2 hours ago. Dispatch said units were en route. But nobody's here. Jason looked at his watch, then at Arya. How far's the nearest hospital? Red Rock Medical Center, 40 miles. We'll never make it on foot. So we die here. No. Jason pulled out his phone. 1 bar, barely enough. We call someone who isn't on Croft's payroll. Who? Everyone. Jason dialed 911. When dispatch answered, he didn't ask for police. He asked for fire rescue, for medevac, for state highway patrol. He gave coordinates 3 times, emphasized officer down, civilian volunteer assisting. Made it loud, made it public. When he hung up, Arya was staring at him. That was smart. That was necessary. Now they can't disappear you without answering questions. They can still kill us before help arrives. Then we make sure they don't. Jason checked his Glock. 15 rounds. No spare magazines. Arya's service weapon, Glock 22 .40 caliber. 1 round left. He checked the SUV console. There. Arya's backup magazine. 15 more rounds. You carry backup. Always. Good habit. Jason reloaded her weapon, chambered a round, handed it to her. She took it like a lifeline. Can you shoot? I qualified expert. That's not what I asked. Arya met his eyes. Yeah, I can shoot. Good. Because in about 10 minutes that helicopter's going to get close enough for our friend to hear it. And when he does, he's going to make a decision. Bug out or finish the job. Which do you think? Depends on how much Croft is paying him. Jason pulled Shadow close, checked the dog for injuries. Nothing. Just dust and determination. You did good, boy. Real good. The radio in the SUV crackled. Unit 7, this is dispatch. What's your status? Arya reached for it. Jason stopped her. Let me. He keyed the mic. Dispatch. This is civilian volunteer with Unit 7. Officer Vance is wounded under active fire from an unknown sniper. We have requested medevac and state patrol backup. GPS coordinates already provided. Long pause. Then a different voice. Older. Male. This is Sheriff Brody. Who is this? Jason Lewis, retired Navy SEAL. I'm with Officer Vance now. Another pause. Longer. Mr. Lewis, I need you to stay calm. We have units en route. How many units? 2. ETA 30 minutes. Sheriff Officer Vance called for backup 2 hours ago. Where were those units? There was a communication error. Dispatch didn't. Sheriff, I'm going to be very clear. I've already called State Patrol and medevac. They're en route. This situation is beyond local jurisdiction now. If anything happens to Officer Vance or myself in the next 30 minutes, it's going to be investigated by people who don't work for Silas Croft. The silence was deafening. Then, you don't know what you're getting into, son. I know exactly what I'm getting into. Question is, do you... Jason released the mic before Brody could respond. Arya was looking at him. You just threatened the sheriff. I just removed his deniability. Now he has to choose protect Croft or protect himself. You think he'll choose himself? People usually do, when it counts. Jason heard it. The distinct whump, whump, whump of helicopter rotors. Still far off, but getting closer. Shadow's ears swiveled toward the sound. Here we go, Jason said. Next few minutes are critical. If the sniper runs, we're clear. If he doesn't. The shot came from a different angle. Jason barely registered the impact before he was moving, shoving Arya flat, his body covering hers as the round punched through the rear window and exited through the windshield. He moved. Arya gasped. He repositioned. Jason's mind raced. The sniper had circled around, which meant he'd been moving for at least 10 minutes, which meant he'd decided. He wasn't running. How good a shot are you? Jason asked. Truth. At 100 yards, very good. At 600. She shook her head. I'd need a rifle. You got a rifle in your trunk? Remington 700. But the trunk's locked and the keys are... She paused. In the ignition. Jason looked at the SUV. Bullet holes in the driver's door. Bullet holes in the windshield. Keys in the ignition clearly visible. He's been herding us away from the vehicle, Jason said. Keeping us from the rifle. So what do we do? Jason looked at Shadow. Then at the helicopter closer now. Then at the GPS unit. And suddenly, he knew. Tell me everything about Croft's mine, he said. Right now, every detail. Why? Because we're not waiting for rescue. We're going hunting. Arya stared at him. You're insane. Yeah, Shadow mentioned that earlier. Jason, the mine. Talk. Arya took a breath. Croft Mining operates 12 shafts in this county. Most are tapped out. But shaft 3, the one on that GPS, it's different. That's where he's dumping. I have photos, documents. The EPA would shut him down instantly if they saw what I found. How'd you get access? I didn't. I used a drone. Flew it through the ventilation system. Got footage of barrels, hundreds of them, leaking into groundwater. Where's the footage? Cloud backup, and a hard drive in my apartment. Croft know about the hard drive. He shouldn't, but... She stopped. My apartment was broken into 3 days ago. Nothing taken. I thought it was random. It wasn't. Jason studied the GPS. Shaft 3. That's where the sniper's extraction point is. That's where he's going when this is done. So that's where we'll be waiting. Arya's eyes widened. You want to ambush him? I want to end this, because even if we get out of here today, Croft will send someone else tomorrow. You're a loose end. He can't let you live. So we kill him first. No, we catch him, and we make him talk. The helicopter was close now. Medical transport, Red Cross on white. It would land in 5 minutes, maybe less, which meant the sniper had 5 minutes to take his shot or abort. Jason made his decision. Shadow. Find. He pulled out the scope, let Shadow smell it. The dog's nose worked over the metal, the leather strap. Find, Jason repeated. Shadow took off, nose to the ground, moving in wide arcs, searching. What's he doing? Arya asked. Tracking. That scope's been in the sun for hours. It's got scent markers. If the sniper touched it recently, Shadow will find the trail. And then what? Then we follow. I can barely walk. Jason looked at her leg. She was right. She'd lost too much blood. Moving her was a risk. Then you stay here. Helicopter's 2 minutes out. They'll get you to the hospital. And you. I'm going after him. Alone. Jason smiled. I've got Shadow. But Arya grabbed his arm. Listen to me. This man, whoever he is, he's a professional. He's been trained. He's not going to just let you walk up and arrest him. I'm not planning to walk up. Jason. Her voice was fierce despite the exhaustion. I've been a cop for 8 years. I've seen what men like this do. If you go after him without backup, Officer Vance, Arya. Jason met her eyes. I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. Trust me. The helicopter was overhead now, kicking up dust rotors, drowning out everything. Paramedics jumped out, running with a stretcher. Jason stood, started to move. Wait. Arya pulled something from her pocket. A business card. That's my cell. When you catch him, and I know you will call me. I want to be there when he talks. Jason took the card. You'll be in surgery. Then call me after. He nodded, turned to leave. Jason. He looked back. Thank you for not leaving me here. Ma'am, I was Navy. We don't leave people behind. Then he was running, following Shadow's trail, leaving the helicopter and the paramedics behind. The combat brain was fully engaged now. He moved through terrain like a ghost weapon, drawn every sense alive. Shadow was 100 yards ahead, moving fast. They ran for 15 minutes, climbing out of the canyon, moving northeast. Jason's lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he didn't slow down. Shadow stopped at the top of the ridge, nose down, circling a spot in rocks. Jason caught up, breathing hard. Looked down. Brass casings. 6 of them. .308 caliber. The sniper had been here. Had lain here for hours, watching Arya die slowly. But he wasn't here now. Shadow barked once, moved northeast again. They ran for another 10 minutes. Jason's GPS showed they were moving toward the mine. Toward Shaft 3. Toward the extraction point. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Lewis? Mr. Lewis. The voice was cultured, educated. East Coast accent. My name is Silas Croft. I believe we need to talk. Jason kept moving, kept following Shadow. I don't talk to people who try to kill cops. I'm not trying to kill anyone. There's been a misunderstanding. The 6 bullet holes in Officer Vance would disagree. A pause. You're a reasonable man, Mr. Lewis. Former military. You understand how the world works. Sometimes regrettable actions become necessary when people don't what? Don't expose the fact that you're poisoning an entire county. Another pause. Longer. I see Officer Vance has been sharing her theories. They're not theories when you've got photographic evidence. Evidence that will never see a courtroom. Officer Vance is a troubled woman. History of depression. Family issues. Her death will be ruled a suicide. Tragic, but not criminal. Except she's not dead. Not yet. The line went dead. Jason felt ice in his veins. Not fear. Calculation. Croft had just confirmed everything. More than that, he'd revealed his hand. Shadow was moving faster now, more urgently. They crested a rise, and there it was. The mine. Chain-link fence topped with barbed wire. Signs every 50 feet danger. No trespassing. But the fence was old rusted, and one section had been cut. Recently. Shadow went through the gap. Jason followed. The mine entrance was 100 yards ahead, carved into the hillside. No lights, no guards, no vehicles, but fresh tire tracks in the dust, leading right to the entrance. Jason's phone buzzed again. Text message. Unknown number. A photograph. Arya on the stretcher being loaded into the helicopter. And a message. She's alive. For now. Come alone, or she dies. Jason stared at the message. They were tracking him. Probably had been since he'd found the GPS. He typed back, I'm alone. The response was immediate. The dog doesn't count. Jason smiled. These people were thorough, but they'd made a mistake. He sent one more message. See you soon. Then he turned off his phone, pulled the battery, threw both into rocks. Shadow looked up at him, waiting. Okay, boy, Jason whispered. You remember Helmand? That compound outside Marja. Shadow's ears perked up. Yeah, you remember. Taliban thought they had us pinned. Thought we'd wait for backup. Jason checked his Glock, chambered around. We didn't wait then. We're not waiting now. He looked at the mine entrance, black as sin, silent as a tomb. But this time we're not saving a squad. We're saving a whole town. Shadow whined softly. I know. I don't like it either. But that woman back there? She was ready to eat a bullet rather than let them take her. You know what that means? Shadow tilted his head. It means she's been through hell. And it means whatever Croft's hiding in that mine is worth killing for. Jason scratched behind Shadow's ears. So we're going to find it. We're going to document it. And we're going to make sure that Sniper never touches another innocent person. He stood, took a breath. You ready? Shadow's tail wagged once. Just once. Good boy. Let's go meet the devil. They moved toward the entrance. Jason's training kicked in, automatically scan corners, check sight lines, identify cover. The mine shaft descended at a steep angle. Support beams every 10 feet. Old, rotting in places. 20 feet in the daylight died. Jason pulled out his phone, still had the flashlight function even with the battery out. He turned it on, kept it low. The tunnel stretched ahead, disappearing into darkness. Shadow pressed against Jason's leg. The dog was tense, alert. Yeah, Jason whispered. I feel it too. They moved deeper, 50 feet, 100 feet. The air changed cooler, damper, smelled like chemicals, like death. Then Jason heard it. Footsteps. Behind them. He spun weapon up. Nothing. Just darkness. But Shadow was growling now, low, dangerous. Easy, boy. Easy. The footsteps came again. Closer. And then light. Blinding. Straight at them. Drop the weapon, Mr. Lewis. The voice was different from Croft's. Younger. American, but with a slight accent. Russian, maybe. Or Ukrainian. Jason didn't move. Didn't drop the gun. I said drop it. And I'm saying no. A pause. Then laughter. You're either very brave or very stupid. I'm very tired, and very angry, and you shot at a friend of mine. Friend, you met her 2 hours ago. Yeah, but she didn't deserve what you did to her. Nobody deserves anything, Mr. Lewis. We all just get what we get. Deep. You a philosophy major before you became a killer. Another laugh. Marine Corps, Force Recon, 12 years, just like you. Except I got smart. Started working for people who actually pay. You work for Croft. I work for whoever signs the check. That's one way to live. It's the only way that matters. Jason's eyes were adjusting. He could see the outline now. Man, 6 feet, lean rifle slung over his shoulder. Standing 40 feet away, confident. Too confident. So what now? Jason asked. You kill me, kill my dog. Then what? State Patrol's already en route. Arya's already talking. Your employer's already exposed. Croft's a survivor. He'll weather this. And you? I'll be in Mexico by sunset. Not if I have anything to say about it. You don't. The rifle came up fast. Professional. Smooth. But Shadow was faster. The dog launched before Jason could give the command. 80 pounds of trained aggression, closing 40 feet in less than 2 seconds. The rifle fired. Missed. Shadow was already inside the shooter's guard jaws, clamping down on the man's forearm. He screamed. Jason was moving, closing distance weapon up. Shadow release. Shadow let go, dropped back. The sniper was clutching his arm, blood streaming between his fingers, but he was still standing, still dangerous. It's over, Jason said. Drop the rifle. The man looked at him, then at Shadow, then back at Jason. You know what's funny, the sniper said. Croft told me you'd come. Said you were the type who couldn't walk away. Said you'd play hero. He was right. Yeah, he was. The man smiled, blood on his teeth. That's why he sent 2 of us. Jason's blood froze. Behind him, he heard the unmistakable sound of a rifle bolt being cycled. Don't move, a woman's voice said, or I'll put one through your spine. Jason didn't move. Shadow was still in front of him, focused on the first shooter. The woman behind him laughed. Predictable. You military types are all the same. See one threat, forget to check your 6. Who are you? Does it matter? It does to me. Fair enough. Name's Kira, former Mossad. Now I'm freelance. And right now I'm the person who decides whether you walk out of this mine alive. Jason's mind raced. 2 shooters. One in front, wounded but armed. One behind, healthy and ready. Shadow could take one, but not both. And Jason was in a kill box. But there was one thing they didn't know. One thing Jason had learned in 12 years of combat. When you're outnumbered and outgunned, you don't fight fair. You fight dirty. Kira, Jason said slowly. You said you're freelance. That means you work for money. Everyone works for money. Then you should know Croft's not going to pay you. Why's that? Because by tomorrow he's going to be in federal custody, and frozen assets don't write checks. Silence. Then, you're bluffing. M.I. Arya Vance has evidence, photos, documents, chain of custody, and by now she's already handed it over to the FBI, the state AG, maybe even the EPA. Jason kept his voice calm, reasonable. Croft's done, and anyone associated with him is going down too. Unless you walk away, right now, leave the country, disappear, live to fight another day. More silence. Then the man in front of him spoke. Don't listen to him, Kira, he's lying. Am I? Jason turned his head slightly, just enough to project his voice behind him. Tell me, Kira, when's the last time Croft paid you? No answer. Yeah, that's what I thought. He's stringing you along, promising big money when this is done. But here's the thing about rich men like Croft, they don't pay when the job's done. They pay when they feel like it. And right now, with federal heat coming down, Croft's going to cut his losses. That means you. Shut up, the man in front said. Think about it, Kira. You're a professional. You do this for a living. But this job, it's already blown. The cop survived. The SEAL showed up. State Patrol's en route. Every minute you stay here, the noose gets tighter. Jason heard movement behind him. Not aggressive, uncertain. He kept talking. But if you leave now, if you just walk away, you've got a chance. You're ghost. You're freelance. Nobody knows your real name. Nobody can tie you to this. You disappear, and in 6 months, you're working another job for someone who actually pays. Kira, don't. Shut up, Dimitri, Kira snapped. Dimitri. Now Jason had a name. Smart, Jason said. Because Dimitri, he's in this deep. He's the one who shot Arya. He's the one with blood on his hands. But you just got here. You're backup. Clean hands, clean conscience, clean getaway. I said shut up. Dimitri raised his rifle with his good arm. Shadow snarled. Easy, boy, Jason said. Then louder. Kira, you've got about 5 seconds to make a choice. Stay and go down with Croft and Dimitri, or walk away and live to fight another day. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Jason heard footsteps. Behind him. Receding. Kira was leaving. You bitch! Dimitri screamed. You goddamn... He never finished. Shadow was on him again this time, going for the throat. Dimitri fired wildly, the round ricocheting off stone. Jason closed the distance, slammed the rifle barrel up, drove his knee into Dimitri's solar plexus. Dimitri went down hard. Shadow backed off, waiting. Jason kicked the rifle away, flipped Dimitri onto his stomach, zip-tied his hands behind his back. The man was gasping, wheezing, bleeding. You're under citizen's arrest, Jason said, for attempted murder of a police officer. Dimitri spat blood. You think this changes anything? Croft owns this county. He owns the sheriff. He owns the judges. I'll be out by morning. Maybe. But you'll be alive, and that's more than you deserve. Jason pulled out his phone. No battery, no service. But Dimitri had a phone in his pocket. Jason took it, powered it on. 12 missed calls, all from the same number. Jason hit redial. It rang twice. Then, Dimitri, is it done? Croft. It's not Dimitri, Jason said. It's Jason Lewis, and I've got your boy in custody, along with his phone, which means I've got your number, which means the FBI's going to have your number. How's that for done? Silence. Then very quietly. You've made a terrible mistake, Mr. Lewis. Yeah, so have you. Jason hung up, looked at Shadow. Good boy, best boy. Shadow wagged his tail. Jason grabbed Dimitri by the zip ties, hauled him to his feet. Come on, we're going for a walk. Where? Shaft 3. I want to see what Croft's hiding. They moved deeper into the mine, Jason dragging Dimitri, Shadow leading the way. 200 feet. 300. The chemical smell got stronger. And then they found it. Barrels. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Stacked in a side chamber, rusted, leaking. Labels half worn away, but Jason could still read them. Trichloroethylene, benzene, chromium-6. Jason turned to Dimitri. You know what this is? Dimitri didn't answer. It's poison, industrial waste, carcinogenic, and it's been leaking into the water table for God knows how long. Jason grabbed Dimitri's phone, started taking photos. Video. Everything. How many people, Dimitri? How many families are drinking this? How many kids are going to get cancer because Croft didn't want to pay for proper disposal? Still no answer. You're not just a killer, Jason said. You're an accomplice to mass murder. He took more photos. Then he heard it. Engines, multiple engines, coming from outside. That'll be the cavalry, Jason said. State Patrol, FBI, EPA, everybody. He dragged Dimitri back toward the entrance. Shadow trotted alongside, alert. They emerged into daylight. Jason had to squint against the brightness. 3 vehicles. State Patrol SUV, unmarked sedan, and another patrol car from Red Rock Flats. Doors opened. Officers stepped out. Weapons drawn. Jason Lewis, one of them shouted. Put down your weapon. Jason carefully set his Glock on the ground, hands up. I'm a civilian. This man is Dimitri, last name unknown. He's the shooter who tried to kill Officer Aria Vance. He's zip-tied and unarmed. I have evidence on his phone of industrial waste dumping by Silas Croft. The officers approached slowly. Two of them took Dimitri. One of them picked up Jason's weapon. Another one crouched down examining Shadow. That's one hell of a dog. Best dog in the world, Jason said. One of the officers' older State Patrol uniform stepped forward. I'm Captain Rodriguez, State Patrol. We got your 911 call. We also got a very interesting call from Officer Vance. She said you saved her life. Shadow saved her life. I just helped. Rodriguez smiled. Modest. I like that. He looked at the mine entrance. What's in there? Hell, Jason said. Photographed and documented. Everything you need to shut Croft down permanently. Rodriguez nodded, turned to one of his officers. Call EPA, call the AG, and call the FBI. Tell them we've got a federal case. Then he looked back at Jason. You're coming with us. We need a statement. I need to see Aria first, make sure she's okay. She's at Red Rock Medical. They're prepping her for surgery. Then that's where I need to go. Rodriguez studied him for a long moment, then nodded. All right. But after that, you're mine. Understood? Understood. They put Dimitri in the back of one patrol car. Jason, Shadow, and Rodriguez got in the unmarked sedan. As they pulled away from the mine, Jason looked back. More vehicles were arriving. EPA vans, FBI trucks, news vans. It was over. Almost. The ride to Red Rock Medical took 17 minutes. Jason didn't speak. Rodriguez didn't push. Shadow sat between them, panting softly, his eyes never leaving Jason's face. When they pulled into the emergency bay, Aria was already out of surgery. Jason pushed through the automatic doors before Rodriguez could stop him. A nurse tried to intercept. Sir, you can't. Room number, now. Something in his voice made her step back. 312. But she's still... Jason was already moving. Shadow followed. Room 312 was at the end of the corridor. Jason stopped at the door, took a breath. His hands were shaking. He hadn't noticed until now. He pushed the door open. Aria was awake. Barely. Her shoulder was bandaged, her leg elevated. IV drips running into both arms. But when she saw him, she smiled. You look like hell, she said. Yeah, you too. She laughed, then winced. Don't make me laugh. It hurts. Jason moved to the bedside. Shadow pressed his nose against Aria's hand. She scratched behind his ears. This your hero? She asked. One of them. I heard what you did, at the mine. Rodriguez radioed ahead, said you took down the shooter yourself. Shadow did most of the work. Still, you didn't have to do that. You could have just walked away after the helicopter came. Jason met her eyes. No, I couldn't. Aria held his gaze for a long moment. Then she looked away. They're saying Croft's lawyering up, already. His attorneys are calling it a misunderstanding. Corporate negligence at worst. They're going to fight this. Let them fight. You've got evidence, photos, documents, Dimitri's phone. They can't make that disappear. They can try. Her voice was bitter. You don't know how deep this goes. Croft's been running this county for 30 years. He's got connections, politicians, judges, hell, probably state senators. One small-town cop with some photos isn't going to... It's not just you anymore, Jason said. It's the FBI, it's the EPA, it's State Patrol, and it's me. I'm not leaving, not until this is done. Aria stared at him. You don't owe me anything. Maybe not, but I owe Shadow. He didn't drag me into that canyon for nothing. She smiled again, softer this time. You're a good man, Jason Lewis. Don't spread that around. It'll ruin my reputation. The door opened. Rodriguez stepped in, another man behind him. older 50s gray suit, FBI credentials hanging from his neck. "Mr. Lewis," Rodriguez said. "This is Special Agent Garrett, FBI. He needs to ask you some questions." Garrett extended his hand. Jason shook it. "Hell of a day you've had," Garrett said. "It's not over yet." "No, it's not." Garrett pulled out a notepad. "I need you to walk me through everything, start to finish. Don't leave anything out." Jason talked for 40 minutes. Garrett didn't interrupt, just took notes, nodding occasionally. When Jason finished, Garrett closed his notepad. "That's quite a story." "It's not a story, it's what happened." "I believe you. Problem is, Croft's attorneys are already spinning a different version. They're saying you're a vigilante, that you assaulted Dimitri without cause, that you manufactured evidence." Jason felt his jaw tighten. Manufactured evidence. That's what they're claiming. The barrels in that mine have serial numbers, chain of custody records. You can trace every single one back to Croft's operation. We will, but that takes time. And in the meantime, Croft's walking free. So arrest him. On what charge? Corporate negligence. We'd need to prove intent. Prove he knew about the dumping. Prove he ordered it. Garrett sighed. And even if we do, his lawyers will tie this up in court for years. He'll never see the inside of a cell. Jason looked at Arya. She was listening, her face pale. "So that's it," Jason said. "He wins." "I didn't say that. I said it takes time." "Officer Vance doesn't have time. Croft already tried to kill her once. What's stopping him from trying again?" "We'll put her in protective custody." "For how long? Weeks, months, years? You think Croft's going to just give up?" Garrett didn't answer. Jason turned to Arya. "You said you have a hard drive in your apartment with all the evidence." "Yeah." "Where exactly?" "Hidden, behind a loose panel in my bedroom closet." "Why?" Jason looked at Garrett. "Because if Croft's people broke into her apartment once, they'll do it again. And this time, they'll find it." Garrett's expression changed. "You think they're going after it now?" "I think they're probably already there." Garrett was moving before Jason finished speaking. He pulled out his phone, barked orders. "I need a unit at Officer Vance's address. Now. Possible break-in in progress. Do not engage without backup." He hung up, looked at Jason. "What's the address?" Arya rattled it off. Garrett relayed it, then turned back. "If you're right." "I am." "Then we need that hard drive. It's the only physical evidence that ties directly to Croft. Everything else is circumstantial. So let's go get it." "You're a civilian." "I'm a witness, and I'm the only person here who's been in combat in the last decade. You want that hard drive or not?" Garrett hesitated, then nodded. "Rodriguez, you're with us. Lewis, you stay behind me." "Clear." "Crystal." They moved fast. Jason's shadow, Garrett Rodriguez, and 2 state troopers. 2 vehicles. Lights off, sirens off. Arya's apartment was 15 minutes away. They parked a block out, approached on foot. The apartment building was 3 stories, old construction, exterior stairs. Arya's unit was on the 2nd floor. The door was closed, but the lock was broken. Garrett held up a hand. Everyone stopped. He gestured. Rodriguez and 1 trooper went left. The other trooper went right. Garrett motioned Jason to stay put. Jason ignored him. Moved forward. Shadow at his heel. Garrett shot him a look. Jason shrugged. They stacked up at the door. Garrett counted down silently. 3, 2, 1. He pushed the door open. The apartment was trashed. Furniture overturned. Drawers pulled out. Papers everywhere. But no people. Garrett moved in, weapon up. Jason followed. They cleared the living room, kitchen, bathroom, then the bedroom. The closet door was open. The panel Arya mentioned was already pulled away. The space behind it was empty. "They got it," Rodriguez said. "No." Jason knelt down, examined the space. "They didn't." "What do you mean?" Jason pointed. Look at the dust. This panel hasn't been moved in weeks. Arya said she hid it behind a loose panel. But there's no loose panel here. Garrett frowned. Then where? She gave us the wrong location. Jason looked around. Smart. In case someone was listening. In case someone got to her phone records. She told us one place, but the drive's somewhere else. So where is it? Jason closed his eyes. Thought. Arya had been delirious when he found her. Dehydrated. Scared. But she'd been coherent enough to know the sheriff was dirty. Coherent enough to know Croft would come after the evidence. Which meant she'd hidden it somewhere Croft wouldn't think to look. Not here, Jason said. It's not in her apartment. Then where? Somewhere public, somewhere with cameras, somewhere she could retrieve it but Croft couldn't. Rodriguez's eyes widened. The police station. No, too obvious. Croft owns the sheriff. He'd have access to evidence lockup. Then where? Jason thought harder. Arya was a cop. She'd know procedure. She'd know how to hide something in plain sight. Where would a cop go every day? Where would be safe but accessible? And then he knew. The library. Garrett stared at him. What public library? Open to everyone. Security cameras. Staff on duty. You can rent lockers. Store personal items. Nobody questions it. Jason moved toward the door. That's where she hid it. You don't know that. I'm 90% sure. That's not good enough. It's all we've got. Garrett hesitated, then nodded. All right, let's go. They piled back into the vehicles. The Red Rock Public Library was on Main Street, 2 blocks from the courthouse. They pulled up just as the lights inside went dark. Closing time, Rodriguez said. Jason was already out of the car. He ran to the front door, locked. He pounded on the glass. A woman appeared. 50s librarian glasses, annoyed expression. She pointed at the sign. We're closed. Jason held up his phone, showed her Arya's photo from her police ID. I need access to Officer Vance's locker. Emergency. The woman hesitated, then unlocked the door. Is she okay? She will be. If we get what's in her locker. The woman led them inside, past the circulation desk, down a hallway, to a wall of small rental lockers, combination locks. Which one is hers? Garrett asked. The woman checked a ledger. Locker 47. Jason moved to it. Combination lock, 4 digits. We need the combination, Rodriguez said. Jason pulled out his phone, called the hospital, asked for Arya's room. The nurse transferred him. Arya's voice was groggy. Jason? I need your library locker combination, right now. My what? Your locker. At the public library. The one where you hid the hard drive. Silence. Then, how did you? Later. Combination, now. She gave him 4 numbers. Jason dialed them in. The lock clicked open. Inside was a plastic bag, and inside the bag was an external hard drive. Jason pulled it out, held it up. Got it. Garrett took it carefully, like it was made of glass. This better be what we think it is. It is, Jason said. Trust me. They thanked the librarian and moved back to the vehicles. Garrett got on his phone, immediately calling his tech team. Jason leaned against the car, suddenly exhausted. Shadow pressed against his leg. Good work, Rodriguez said. Not done yet. What do you mean? Jason looked at him. Croft knows we're coming. He's already lawyering up, already spinning the story. By tomorrow he'll have a dozen character witnesses saying he's a pillar of the community. He'll have forensic accountants making the numbers look clean. He'll have nothing, Garrett said, hanging up his phone. I just talked to my team. They're pulling Croft's financial records right now. Bank accounts, shell companies, offshore holdings. If there's money moving, we'll find it. And if he's smart enough to hide it, then we use Dimitri, make him talk. He won't. Why not? Because Croft will pay him not to, or threaten him, or both. Men like Dimitri don't flip easily. Garrett sighed. So what do you suggest? Jason thought. They had evidence. They had Dimitri. They had the hard drive. But Croft had money, power, connections, and men like that didn't go down easy, unless you hit them where it hurt. We go public, Jason said. What? We go public, right now, tonight. We call every news station within 100 miles. We give them the story, poisoned water, murdered cop, cover-up. We make it impossible for Croft to control the narrative. Garrett shook his head. That's not how we do things. We build the case first. Then Croft's attorneys get an injunction, seal the evidence, claim it's prejudicial. By the time this goes to trial, nobody will remember why they were supposed to care. Jason stepped closer. But if we go public now tonight before Croft can spin it, we control the story. We make him defend himself in the court of public opinion, and that's a court he can't buy. Garrett stared at him. You're asking me to compromise an ongoing investigation. I'm asking you to save lives, because every day that water stays poisoned, people are drinking it. Kids are drinking it. And Croft's going to keep dumping until someone stops him. Rodriguez cleared his throat. He's got a point, Garrett. Garrett looked at him. You can't be serious. I've been working in this county for 15 years. I've watched Croft operate. I've seen what he does to people who cross him. If we don't move fast, he'll bury this, and Officer Vance will be the one who pays. Garrett was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. This better work. He made 3 calls. Local news, regional news, national news. By the time he finished, Jason could hear helicopters in the distance. They'll be here in 20 minutes, Garrett said. You better be right about this. I am. And if Croft comes after you, Jason smiled. Let him try. They set up in front of the library. Lights, cameras, reporters shouting questions. Garrett handled most of it professional and calm. But when they asked about the civilian who'd rescued Officer Vance, Garrett stepped aside. Jason stood in front of the cameras. My name is Jason Lewis. I'm a retired Navy SEAL. This morning I went for a run in the desert. I found Officer Aria Vance bleeding out, pinned down by sniper fire, left to die, because she'd uncovered evidence that Silas Croft, a man who owns half this county, has been poisoning your water for years. The reporters erupted. Questions flew. Jason held up a hand. I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to tell you the truth. Croft hired professional killers to silence Officer Vance. When that failed, he sent people to destroy the evidence. But we stopped them. We have the evidence. We have the shooter in custody. And we have proof that Croft Mining has been dumping toxic waste into your aquifer for at least a decade. He held up his phone, showed the photos from the mine. Barrels, leaking chemicals, serial numbers. These photos were taken 4 hours ago, in Shaft 3 of Croft's mine. The EPA is there right now, testing, documenting, and what they're finding is going to make you sick, literally. More questions. Jason ignored them. If you've lived in Red Rock County for the last 10 years, you need to get your water tested. You need to get your kids tested. Because what Croft did, what he's been doing, is a crime. Not just against Officer Vance, against all of you. He stepped back. Let Garrett take over. The reporters swarmed. Rodriguez pulled Jason aside. That was risky. Yeah. Croft's going to come after you now. Lawsuits, slander, defamation. Let him. You're not worried. I told the truth. Let him prove me wrong. Rodriguez smiled. I like you, Lewis. You got balls. I just got tired of watching bad people win. They stood there for a moment watching the media circus. Then Jason's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Lewis. You've made a very serious mistake. Croft's voice was ice. I'm going to destroy you. Get in line. I'm serious. By tomorrow your name will be mud. I'll dig up every mistake you've ever made, every operation that went wrong, every person you couldn't save. I'll make sure the world knows exactly what kind of man you really are. Go ahead. I'm not afraid of you. You should be, because I don't just destroy people. I destroy everything they care about, everyone they love. I'll find every person you've ever protected, and I'll make them pay for your arrogance. Jason felt something cold settle in his chest. You threatening Shadow? I'm threatening everyone. Your family, your friends. That cop you think you saved. I'll make sure she never works again, never walks again, never... Croft. What? You just confessed to threatening a federal witness on a recorded line. Silence. You didn't know that, did you? Didn't know the FBI would be monitoring my phone the second you called? Jason smiled. Thanks for making this easy. He hung up. Looked at Garrett. Garrett was already moving phone to his ear. Yeah, we got it. All of it. Issue the warrant. He hung up. Turned to Jason. We're bringing him in. Tonight. Good. You should go. Get some rest. We'll handle it from here. I'm not leaving until he's in cuffs. That could take hours. I've got time. Garrett studied him, then nodded. All right, but stay out of the way. They moved fast after that. FBI vehicles converging on Croft's estate, helicopters overhead. Jason watched from a distance, Shadow beside him. At 11:47 p.m., they brought Silas Croft out in handcuffs. He was 60 silver hair expensive suit. He looked exactly like what he was, a man who'd never expected to face consequences. When he saw Jason, he stopped, stared. This isn't over, Croft said. Yeah, it is. You don't understand. I have resources, connections. I'll be out by morning. Maybe, but everyone knows now. Everyone knows what you did, and you can't buy that back. Croft's face twisted. You self-righteous... Save it for your lawyer. They loaded him into a vehicle, drove away. Jason stood there watching the taillights disappear. He felt Shadow lean against his leg. Yeah, boy, we did good. Rodriguez walked over. Hell of a night. Yeah. You sticking around? For a while. Want to make sure Aria's okay. She will be, thanks to you. Jason didn't respond. He was thinking about what Croft had said. About digging up the past. About people Jason couldn't save. There were a lot of those. You okay? Rodriguez asked. Yeah, just tired. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be another circus. Jason nodded, started to walk away, then stopped. Rodriguez. Yeah. What happened to the second shooter? The woman, Kira. Rodriguez's expression darkened. No sign of her. She disappeared. You think she left the country? Maybe, or maybe she's waiting. For what? For Croft to make bail. For her to get paid. For another chance at Officer Vance. Jason felt the cold settle in his chest again. We need protection on Aria. Already on it. 24/7 guard. Nobody gets near her. Good. But as Jason walked back to his truck, Shadow beside him, he couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because men like Croft didn't just fold. They adapted. They hired better lawyers. They found new ways to win. And somewhere out there, Kira was still free. Still dangerous. Still hunting. Jason climbed into his truck. Shadow jumped in beside him. He sat there for a moment, engine off, staring at the hospital in the distance. He thought about Aria. About the way she'd looked at him when he left her room. Like he was someone she could trust. Someone who wouldn't walk away. And Jason realized something. He didn't want to walk away. Not yet. Maybe not ever. He started the engine, drove back to the hospital, parked in the overnight lot, walked inside. The nurse at the desk looked up. Visiting hours are, I'm staying, room 312, Officer Vance. Sir, you can't. I can. And I am. Anyone tries to get to her, they go through me first. The nurse stared at him, then at Shadow, then she nodded. "Third floor, chairs by the elevator." "Thank you." Jason took the stairs, found the chairs, sat down. Shadow curled up at his feet, and there in the quiet of a hospital corridor, Jason Lewis kept watch. Because that's what you did for people who couldn't save themselves. You stayed, you fought, you didn't walk away, even when the whole world told you to. Jason woke to the sound of footsteps. His hand went to his Glock before his eyes opened. Shadow was already on his feet, ears forward, body tense. The footsteps stopped. "Easy, Mr. Lewis." Sheriff Brody stood 10 feet away, hands visible, no weapon drawn. "Just came to talk." Jason didn't lower his weapon. "Talk fast." "Can we do this somewhere private?" "No." Brody sighed, looked older than he had on the radio, tired, defeated. "I deserve that." "You deserve a lot worse." "Yeah, I do." Brody moved slowly, sat in a chair across from Jason. Shadow growled low. "I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to tell you the truth." "Little late for that. I know, but you need to hear it anyway." Brody rubbed his face. "Croft's been paying me for 12 years. Not much at first, just favors. Look the other way when his trucks ran overweight. Ignore complaints about noise from the mine, small stuff. And then it wasn't small. And then it wasn't small." Brody's voice cracked. "He had photos of me with a woman who wasn't my wife. Threatened to send them to my daughter. She was getting married. I couldn't let him ruin that." "So you let him ruin the whole county instead?" "I thought I could control it, thought I could keep it contained. But every time I tried to pull back, he'd pull me deeper. More money, more threats, more—" Brody stopped. "Officer Vance came to me 6 months ago, said she'd found something, asked me to help her investigate, and I told Croft." Jason felt his finger tighten on the trigger. "You sent her into that ambush?" "No, God no. I told Croft she was asking questions. That's all. I didn't know he'd—" Brody's hands were shaking. "When I heard the call go out, when I heard she was pinned down, I knew what I'd done. And I couldn't send units, because if they saved her, she'd talk. She'd tell everyone I was dirty." "So you let her die?" "I tried to. God help me, I tried to." Tears were streaming down Brody's face now. "But then you showed up, and Shadow, and everything fell apart." Jason lowered his weapon, not because he trusted Brody, but because shooting him wouldn't change anything. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Croft made bail 2 hours ago." Jason's blood went cold. "What?" "Federal judge, someone Croft owns, set bail at 10 million. Croft posted it before sunrise. He's out." "Where is he now?" "I don't know, but I know what he's going to do. He's going to run, and before he runs, he's going to clean up loose ends. Arya, and you, and me, and anyone else who knows the truth." Brody stood. "I'm turning myself in. Today. I'm going to testify against Croft. Tell them everything. Every payment. Every favor. Every crime I helped him cover up. But first I needed to warn you." "Warn me about what?" "Kira's back. She was spotted in town an hour ago, near the hospital." Jason was on his feet instantly. "Where?" "Parking garage, 3rd level. Security camera caught her getting out of a rental car." "She inside?" "Not yet, but she's coming. And when she does—" Jason didn't wait for him to finish. He was already moving Shadow at his heels. Down the corridor, down the stairs. 3 flights. Fast. He burst into Arya's room. Empty. The bed was made. The IV stand was gone. No sign of her. Jason's heart stopped. "No! No, no, no!" He ran back into the corridor, found the nurse at the desk. "Where's Officer Vance?" "She was transferred." "Where?" "I can't." Jason grabbed the desk. "Where?" "Radiology, Fourth floor. They're doing another CT scan to check for internal bleeding. Jason was moving before she finished. Shadow right behind him. Up the stairs. Fourth floor. Signs pointing to radiology. He followed them. The radiology waiting room was empty. One nurse behind a glass partition. Jason hammered on it. Officer Vance, where is she? In the scanner. She'll be done in... Get her out. Now. Sir, I can't interrupt There's an assassin in this hospital. Get her out or I will. The nurse's eyes went wide. She hit a button, spoke into an intercom. Dr. Chen, we have a code. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in. Red. Dim. Jason heard Shadow snarl. Spun. Saw movement at the end of the corridor. Kira. She wasn't hiding anymore. Wasn't pretending. She walked toward him confident, a silenced pistol in her right hand. Step aside, Lewis. Not happening. This isn't personal. It's business. Everything's personal when someone tries to kill a cop. She's not a cop anymore. She's a witness, and witnesses die. Not today, Kira smiled. You're unarmed. I checked. Security made you leave your weapon at the desk. I don't need a weapon. No. Kira raised her pistol. What are you going to do? Throw your dog at me? Something like that. Jason whistled. Shadow launched. Kira fired. Missed. Shadow was too fast. He hit her low jaws, clamping onto her gun arm. She screamed. The pistol clattered to the floor. Jason closed the distance, kicked the gun away, grabbed Kira's free arm, twisted it behind her back, drove her face first into the wall. Shadow. Release. Shadow let go. Backed off. Watching. Jason held Kira pinned. Who else? How many others did Croft send? Just me. Liar. I'm not lying. Croft's cheap. He doesn't pay for backup. Then why come back? You could have been in Mexico by now. Kira laughed, bitter. Because he threatened my daughter. Said if I didn't finish the job, he'd send someone after her. So here I am, finishing the job. Jason felt something twist in his chest. You have a daughter. In Tel Aviv, safe. Or she was until Croft found out. So you were going to kill Arya to save your kid. Wouldn't you? Jason didn't answer. Because the truth was, he didn't know. He'd never had kids. Never had to make that choice. I'm sorry, Kira said quietly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Save it. Jason pulled out his phone. Called Rodriguez. I've got Kira. Fourth floor. Radiology. Send units. He hung up. Kept Kira pinned. 2 minutes later, state troopers arrived. Cuffed her. Read her rights. Took her away. Rodriguez stayed behind. You okay? Yeah, Arya. Still in the scanner. She's fine. Didn't even know what happened. Good. Jason felt the adrenaline draining. His hands started shaking again. Brody came to see me. Said Croft made bail. I heard. Judge Kellerman, we're already investigating him. Investigating isn't enough. Croft's running, and before he runs he's going to... We know. We've got eyes on his estate, his office, his vehicles. He's not going anywhere. You sure about that? Rodriguez didn't answer, which was answer enough. Jason sat down. Shadow pressed against his leg. He scratched behind the dog's ears. Good boy. Best boy. Rodriguez sat beside him. You should go home. Get some real sleep. We've got this. No, you don't. Excuse me. Croft's been 3 steps ahead of you this whole time. He's got judges, lawyers, connections. You think a few surveillance teams are going to stop him? So what do you suggest? Jason thought. Croft was smart, rich, connected. But he was also desperate. And desperate men made mistakes. He's going to run, Jason said. But not yet. He'll wait until he thinks it's safe. Until he thinks you've stopped watching. So we don't stop watching. No. We make him think we've stopped. We pull back. Make it look like we're giving up. And when he moves, we take him down. Yeah. Rodriguez shook his head. Garrett will never go for it. Then don't tell Garrett. You're asking me to go rogue. I'm asking you to do what's right. Rodriguez was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke quietly, hung up. Done. We're pulling surveillance at midnight, making it look like we're scaling back. If Croft moves, we'll know. How? Rodriguez smiled. Because you're going to be watching him. Me. You're a civilian. You can go places we can't, do things we can't. And if you happen to see Croft violating his bail conditions, I call it in. Exactly. Jason stood. Where's his estate? 10 miles north, Canyon Ridge. You can't miss it. I'll find it. Lewis. Rodriguez grabbed his arm. Be careful. Croft's dangerous when he's cornered. So am I. Jason left the hospital. Shadow followed. They climbed into his truck, drove north. The sun was rising, red and gold. Jason barely noticed. He was thinking about Kira, about her daughter, about the choice she'd made. He was thinking about Arya, about the way she'd looked at him, trusting. He was thinking about Croft, about men who thought money could buy anything, even lives. Shadow whined softly. I know, boy, I know. They drove for 20 minutes. The houses got bigger, the lots got wider, and then Jason saw it. Croft's estate, 10 acres, stone walls, iron gates, security cameras every 20 feet. Jason parked a half-mile out, pulled out his binoculars, scanned. No movement, no vehicles, no guards. Too quiet. He called Rodriguez. You seeing this? Seeing what? Nothing. There's nothing here. No security, no staff. It's a ghost town. Maybe he's inside. Maybe. But Jason didn't believe it. I'm going in. Lewis, wait. Jason hung up, looked at Shadow. You ready? Shadow's tail wagged. They moved through the brush, staying low, using terrain. Jason's training kicked in automatically. 15 minutes later, they were at the wall. Jason pulled himself up, looked over. The grounds were empty. Manicured lawn, pool, tennis court. But no people. He dropped down on the other side. Shadow jumped after him. They moved toward the main house. Jason's hand went to his Glock. 15 rounds. He'd gotten it back from security before he left the hospital. The front door was unlocked. Bad sign. Jason pushed it open, stepped inside. The house was massive. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art on every wall. But it felt dead, empty. Hello? Jason called. No answer. He moved through the house. Living room, dining room, kitchen, all empty. Then he found the office. Papers everywhere. Files pulled from cabinets. Computer monitors smashed. Someone had been here, recently, looking for something. Jason pulled out his phone, took photos. Then he noticed something. A safe. Behind a painting. Door hanging open. Empty. Croft had been here. Had cleaned out the safe. Had destroyed evidence. And then he'd run. But where Jason looked at the desk, found a pad of paper. The top sheet was blank, but he could see indentations from whatever had been written on the sheet above. He held it up to the light. Squinted. Numbers. Coordinates maybe. Or an address. No. A flight plan. Son of a bitch, Jason called Rodriguez. Croft's got a plane. Where's the nearest private airstrip? Red Rock Municipal, 6 miles west. He's running. Right now. We'll send units. There's no time. I'm closer. Lewis, don't. Jason hung up, ran for his truck. Shadow followed. They drove fast. Too fast. Jason didn't care. He couldn't let Croft leave. Couldn't let him disappear. Because if Croft made it to Mexico, or Brazil, or anywhere with no extradition, he'd never face justice. And Arya would spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder. The airstrip came into view, small, single runway, handful of hangars. And there, On the tarmac. A private jet. Engines already running. Jason floored it. Drove straight through the gate. Security barrier shattered. He skidded to a stop 50 yards from the jet. Jumped out. Shadow followed. A man was climbing the stairs to the jet. Silver hair. Expensive suit. Croft. "Stop!" Jason shouted. Croft turned. Saw him. Smiled. "Too late, Lewis. I'm gone." "No, you're not." Jason started running. Croft disappeared inside the jet. The stairs started retracting. Jason ran harder. Faster. 20 yards. 10 yards. The jet started moving. Jason reached the wing, grabbed on, pulled himself up. Shadow barked, running alongside. "Shadow, stay." The dog stopped, watched. Jason climbed onto the wing. The jet was picking up speed. 30 miles per hour, 40, 50. He moved toward the door, hammered on it. "Croft, open up." The door opened. But it wasn't Croft standing there. It was Sheriff Brody, holding a gun, pointed at Jason's chest. "Sorry, son. I lied." He pulled the trigger. Jason threw himself backward, rolled off the wing, hit the tarmac hard. Pain exploded through his shoulder. The jet kept moving. Faster. Faster. Jason pushed himself up. Watched it lift off. Watched it climb. Watched it disappear into the rising sun. He'd failed. Croft was gone. Shadow ran to him, whined, licked his face. "I know, boy, I know." Jason's phone rang. "Rodriguez." "Did you stop him?" "No. He's airborne. Brody's with him. It was all a setup." "Brody's—" Rodriguez swore. "Where's he heading?" "I don't know. Mexico maybe? South America?" "We'll contact the FAA. Ground him before he leaves U.S. airspace." "Do it fast." Jason hung up, sat there on the tarmac. Shadow beside him. He felt like he'd been punched in the gut. He'd been so close. So close. His phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered. "What?" "Mr. Lewis." Croft's voice. Smug. Satisfied. "I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For making this so easy. You really thought I'd run without a plan, that I wouldn't have contingencies. You won't make it. The FAA will. The FAA will do nothing. Because I'm not flying to Mexico, I'm flying to Cuba. And from Cuba, I'm flying to a country with no extradition. Russia maybe, or China. Somewhere your government can't touch me. We'll find you." "No, you won't. But I'll find you. Eventually. When you least expect it. I'll send someone. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But someday. And they'll finish what Kira couldn't. Good luck with that." "Oh, I won't need luck. I have money. And money buys everything." Croft paused. "Give my regards to Officer Vance. Tell her I'm sorry we didn't get to finish our business." The line went dead. Jason sat there, staring at his phone, feeling the weight of failure pressing down on him. Shadow pressed closer, whined. "Yeah, boy, we screwed up." But then Jason thought about something Croft had said. "I'm flying to Cuba. And from Cuba." Cuba. Jason pulled out his phone, called Garrett. "Lewis, Rodriguez told me what happened. We're working on—" "Croft's flying to Cuba. Filing a flight plan right now, probably. He's going to refuel there, then fly to Russia or China. So Cuba's 90 miles from Florida, and 90 miles is within range of Coast Guard intercept." Silence. Then, "You're right. Can you do it?" "I can try. Give me 10 minutes." Garrett hung up. Jason stood, walked back to his truck. Shadow jumped in beside him. They drove back to the hospital. Arya was awake when he arrived, sitting up in bed, color back in her face. "I heard what happened," she said. "Croft got away." "Not yet, he didn't." "What do you mean?" "Garrett's calling in the Coast Guard. They're going to intercept him over the Straits of Florida." "Can they do that?" If anyone can, Garrett can. Arya studied his face. You're worried. Yeah. Why? Because Brody betrayed us. Because Croft's got more resources than we thought. Because... Jason stopped. Because I don't want him to win. He won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Arya reached out, took his hand. Because he's got money. But we've got something better. What's that? The truth. And the truth always wins. Eventually. Jason wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe that justice mattered. That good people won in the end. But he'd seen too much. Done too much. Lost too much. I hope you're right, he said. I am. You'll see. They sat there, hand in hand, waiting. Jason's phone rang 30 minutes later. Garrett. We got him. Jason felt something release in his chest. You're sure? Coast Guard forced him down. Landed in Key West 10 minutes ago. Croft and Brody are in custody. It's over. It's over, Jason repeated. Arya squeezed his hand, tears in her eyes. I told you. Jason hung up. Looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who'd been ready to die rather than surrender. Who'd fought back against impossible odds. Who'd trusted him when she had no reason to. Thank you, she said. For what? For not walking away. For not giving up. For... She stopped. For being the kind of man who runs toward bullets instead of away from them. Jason didn't know what to say to that, so he just squeezed her hand back. Shadow put his head on the bed. Arya scratched behind his ears. You too, Shadow. You're a good boy. Shadow's tail thumped. They sat there, the three of them, watching the sun rise higher outside the window. And for the first time in 12 years, Jason Lewis felt like maybe, just maybe, he'd found something worth staying for. 3 days later, Arya was discharged. Jason was waiting in the lobby when the nurse wheeled her out. Shadow stood immediately, tail wagging. I can walk, Arya said. Hospital policy, the nurse replied. You ride to the door. It's stupid. It's policy. Jason smiled. Let her wheel you. Pick your battles. Arya shot him a look, but didn't argue. When they reached the automatic doors, she stood slowly, testing her leg, wincing. You okay? Jason asked. Fine, just stiff. You need to take it easy. Doctor said 6 weeks before I'm cleared for duty. I heard him. Arya took a step. Another. But I don't have 6 weeks. I have testimony to give. Evidence to present. Croft's arraignment is in 4 days. You don't have to be there. Yes, I do. They walked to Jason's truck. Shadow jumped in first. Arya climbed in slower, favoring her leg. Jason started the engine. Where to? My apartment. You sure you could stay at my apartment? Arya repeated. I'm not hiding anymore. They drove in silence. When they pulled up to her building, Arya stared at it for a long moment. They broke in, she said quietly. Tore the place apart, looking for evidence. We can clean it up. No, I need to do it, need to see it. She opened the door. You coming? If you want me to. I want you to. They climbed the stairs. Arya's hand shook when she unlocked the door. Jason noticed but didn't comment. The apartment was exactly as they'd left it. Furniture overturned, drawers emptied, papers scattered. Arya stood in the doorway, not moving, not speaking. Shadow pressed against her leg. It's just stuff, Jason said. Stuff can be replaced. I know. But... Her voice caught. This was mine. My space. My sanctuary. And they violated it. Yeah, they did. I keep telling myself it doesn't matter, that I'm alive, that we won. But standing here seeing this, she wiped her eyes. It matters. Jason stepped closer. You want me to help clean up? No, I want... She turned to him. I want to burn it all down, start over, somewhere new. You mean that? I don't know, maybe. Right now, I just want... She stopped. I don't know what I want. Jason understood that. He'd felt the same way when he left the teams. Lost. Untethered. Like he'd been fighting for so long that when the fighting stopped, he didn't know who he was anymore. Let's start small, he said. How about coffee? Arya laughed. Weak but real. Coffee. Yeah, that's a start. They walked to the diner 2 blocks over, sat in a booth by the window. Shadow lay under the table. The waitress brought coffee without asking. Heard what you did, Officer Vance. Whole town's talking about it. You're a hero. Arya didn't respond. When the waitress left, Jason spoke. You don't feel like a hero. No, I feel like someone who got lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. You found evidence. You pursued it. You almost died for it. And I would have died if you hadn't shown up. But I did show up. That's what matters. Arya sipped her coffee. Why did you help me? You didn't know me. Didn't owe me anything. Jason thought about that. Shadow found you. That was enough. That's not an answer. Yeah, it is. Jason looked at her. I spent 12 years fighting bad guys in countries most people can't find on a map. And when I got home, I thought I was done. Thought I'd paid my dues. But then Shadow found you. And I realized the fight doesn't end just because you come home. It just changes shape. So you're saying you helped me because you needed a fight? No, I'm saying I helped you because it was right. And because... He stopped. Because walking away would have killed me. Arya held his gaze. You're a good man, Jason Lewis. People keep saying that. I'm starting to wonder if it's true. It is, trust me. They finished their coffee, paid, walked back to Arya's apartment. This time she didn't hesitate at the door, just walked in and started cleaning. Jason helped. Shadow supervised. 2 hours later, the apartment was livable again. Furniture upright, papers organized, glass swept up. Arya collapsed on her couch. Thank you. You did most of the work. Still, thank you. Jason's phone rang. Garrett. Lewis, we need to talk. About Croft. He's talking. Cutting a deal. Jason felt his jaw tighten. What kind of deal? Reduced sentence. 20 years instead of life. In exchange for names. Contacts. Every politician and judge he's paid off for the last 30 years. And you're going to take it. It's not my call. Federal prosecutor makes that decision. But yeah, I think they'll take it. The information Croft's offering, it's big. Bigger than him. This goes all the way to the state capitol. Maybe Washington. Jason looked at Arya. She'd heard every word. What about Brody? Jason asked. Brody's cooperating. Full confession. He's looking at 10 to 15. And Dimitri? Dimitri's not talking, but we don't need him. Between Croft, Brody, and the physical evidence, we've got enough to put away a dozen people. What about Kira? Garrett paused. Kira's a different story. Meaning she's got information too, about Croft's other operations, other hits. She's offering testimony in exchange for witness protection. You're going to let her walk? Not walk. Relocate. New identity. But yeah, she'll avoid prison. Jason felt something cold settle in his chest. She tried to kill Arya. I know, but... No buts. She pointed a gun at an innocent woman. She should pay for that. Lewis, I understand how you feel, but this is bigger than... Don't tell me it's bigger. Because to Arya, nothing's bigger than the woman who tried to murder her walking free. Garrett sighed. I'm sorry, but it's already done. Kira signed the deal this morning. Jason hung up, looked at Arya. You heard? Yeah. I'm sorry. Arya shook her head. Don't be. She was protecting her daughter. I get that. You're not angry. I'm furious, but I understand. Arya walked to the window. My mom used to say something. She said the world isn't fair. It never has been. But we keep fighting anyway. Not because we'll win, but because fighting's the only thing that separates us from the animals. Your mom sounds smart. She was. Died when I was 16. Cancer. Arya turned. The water here was already poisoned. Even back then, we just didn't know it. Jason felt the weight of that. I'm sorry. Me too. But at least now other kids won't lose their moms. Because of what we did. That has to count for something. It does. They stood there. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. It was understanding. Jason's phone rang again. Rodriguez this time. Louis, where are you? Arya's apartment. Why? Because there's a problem. A big one. What kind of problem? Croft's deal. It's falling apart. His attorneys found a loophole, a technicality in the search warrant. The evidence from the mine, all of it might get thrown out. Jason's blood went cold. How is that possible? The warrant was issued by Judge Kellerman, the same judge who set Croft's bail. Croft's team is arguing Kellerman was compromised, that the warrant was invalid, and if the warrant's invalid, everything we found is inadmissible. Yeah. What about the hard drive from the library? That's clean, but without the physical evidence from the mine, the hard drive alone isn't enough. We need both. So what now? Now we pray the judge sees through Croft's bullshit. The hearing's tomorrow, 9 a.m. Rodriguez hung up. Arya was watching him. What is it? Jason told her. Watched her face go pale. They can't do that, she said. They can't just... They can, and they are. So, what do? We testify. We tell the truth. We make sure the judge understands what's at stake. And if that's not enough... Jason didn't answer. Because he didn't have one. That night, Jason couldn't sleep. He lay on Arya's couch. She'd insisted he stay. Said she didn't want to be alone, staring at the ceiling. Shadow was on the floor beside him, breathing steady. Jason's mind wouldn't shut off. He kept replaying everything. The canyon, the sniper, the mine. Croft's smug voice on the phone. If the evidence got thrown out, Croft would walk. And everything they'd done would be for nothing. At 3 a.m., Jason's phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number. Meet me, diner on Main, 1 hour, come alone. K. Kira. Jason should have deleted it, should have called Rodriguez, should have done a lot of things. Instead, he got dressed. He left a note for Arya, took Shadow, drove to the diner. Kira was waiting in the last booth, wearing a baseball cap, sunglasses, even though it was dark outside. You came? She said. I'm here. Talk fast. I know about the warrant, about the hearing tomorrow. How? I still have contacts, people who owe me favors. Kira leaned forward. And I know something the FBI doesn't. What? Croft has a backup plan. If the evidence gets thrown out, he's got a witness who'll testify the dumping was unauthorized, that a rogue employee did it without his knowledge. Croft walks. The employee takes the fall. Who's the employee? Man named Vincent Torres, works for Croft. Has for 20 years. Croft's been paying his family, setting up trusts, making sure Torres knows if he takes the fall his kids will be set for life. So Torres is going to lie. Not lie, he's going to tell a version of the truth. Enough truth to create reasonable doubt. And reasonable doubt is all Croft needs. Jason felt his hands curl into fists. Why are you telling me this? Because I made a deal. Witness protection. New life. But I have to live with what I did. What I almost did to Officer Vance. Kira pulled off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red. Exhausted. I can't give you back the evidence, but I can give you Torres. What do you mean? Torres doesn't want to lie. He's got a conscience. But he's scared, scared of Croft, scared of what happens to his family if he doesn't cooperate. Kira slid a piece of paper across the table. That's his address. Talk to him. Make him understand he's got a choice. And if he doesn't listen, then Croft wins. And my deal was for nothing. Jason took the paper. Why do you care? Because I have a daughter, and I want her to grow up in a world where men like Croft don't win. Kira stood. Good luck, Mr. Lewis. I hope I never see you again. She walked out. Jason sat there, staring at the address. Shadow whined softly. Yeah, boy. I know. He drove to Torres's house. Small, modest. Lights still on despite the hour. Jason knocked. The door opened. A man answered. Mid-40s Hispanic tired eyes. Vincent Torres. Who's asking? Jason Lewis. I need to talk to you about Silas Croft. Torres tried to close the door. Jason blocked it with his foot. I'm not here to threaten you. I'm here to offer you a way out. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you do. Croft's planning to throw you under the bus, make you the fall guy for the dumping, and in exchange, he's promised to take care of your family. Torres's face went pale. How did you? Doesn't matter. What matters is you don't have to do this. You don't have to lie for him. You don't understand. If you don't, what Croft threatens your family cuts off the money. Jason stepped closer. Torres Croft's going to prison. One way or another. The question is whether you go with him. He said my kids would be taken care of. College funds, trust funds. And you believe him, the man who poisoned an entire county, who tried to murder a cop. Jason shook his head. He's lying. The second you're not useful anymore, he'll cut you loose. And your kids will have nothing. Torres's hands were shaking. I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. Tell the truth. Testify against him. The FBI will protect you, your family, give you real security, not promises from a criminal. I can't. Yes, you can. Because deep down you know it's right. And you know your kids will be ashamed if they find out you lied to protect a monster. Torres looked at him, eyes filling with tears. What if I can't prove it? What if they don't believe me? You worked for Croft for 20 years. You've seen things, heard things. You know where the bodies are buried. Jason handed him a card. Rodriguez's number. Call him. Tell him everything. Do it tonight. Before Croft knows you've flipped. Torres took the card, stared at it. I have to think about it. Don't think. Act. Because if you wait, Croft will know. And if Croft knows, I'll end up like the others. What others? Torres looked at him. You think Officer Vance was the first person who tried to expose Croft? There were 3 others, over the years. An EPA inspector, a state water engineer, a journalist. What happened to them? Accidents. All of them. Car crash, house fire, drowning. Torres's voice dropped. Croft doesn't leave witnesses. He leaves corpses. Jason felt ice in his veins. Then you know what you have to do. Torres nodded slowly. I'll call. Tonight. Good man. Jason left. Drove back to Arya's apartment. The sun was rising. Arya was awake, sitting at the table, coffee in hand. Where were you? Jason told her. All of it. Kira, Torres, the backup plan. When he finished, Arya was quiet. You think he'll call? She asked. I don't know, but I gave him a choice. That's all I can do. And if he doesn't, then we fight anyway, like your mom said. Arya smiled, weak but real. Yeah, like she said. At 8:30 a.m., Rodriguez called. Lewis, Torres called. He's testifying. Against Croft. Everything. Jason felt the tension release. He's meeting with prosecutors now. giving them everything: names, dates, transactions. By this afternoon, we'll have enough to bury Croft 10 times over. What about the hearing the warrant? Still happening, but it doesn't matter anymore. Even if the mine evidence gets tossed, we've got Torres. And Torres was Croft's operations manager. He signed off on every barrel, every shipment, every dump. So it's over. Yeah, it's over. Rodriguez hung up. Jason looked at Aria. We won. She didn't celebrate, just nodded. Yeah, we won. But her voice was hollow, empty. What's wrong? Jason asked. Nothing. She stopped. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for Croft to pull another trick, for this to all fall apart. It won't. How do you know? Because we have the truth. And like you said, the truth always wins, eventually. Aria looked at him. Really looked at him. You really believe that? I'm starting to. She stood, walked to him, put her hand on his chest. Thank you. For everything. You already thanked me. I know. But I needed to say it again. Jason covered her hand with his. You would have done the same for me. Yeah, I would have. They stood there, close, not quite touching, but not quite apart. Shadow barked. Once, sharp. They both turned. Someone was at the door. Knocking. Hard. Jason moved to answer it, hand on his Glock. He opened the door. It was Garrett, face grim. What is it? Jason asked. It's Torres. He's dead. Jason felt the world tilt. What? Car accident. 20 minutes ago. On his way to meet the prosecutors. He ran a red light. Got T-boned by a semi. Died on impact. That's not an accident. I know, but we can't prove it. The truck driver's clean. No connection to Croft. Security footage shows Torres ran the light. Looks like he wasn't paying attention, or like someone tampered with his brakes. Garrett nodded. We're checking. But even if we find something, it won't matter. Torres is dead, and without his testimony, we're back to square one. Yeah. Aria had heard everything. She sat down heavily. This can't be happening. It is, Garrett said. And it gets worse. The hearing's in 30 minutes. If the judge tosses the warrant, we've got nothing. Croft walks. Jason looked at Aria, then at Garrett, then at Shadow. And suddenly, he knew what to do. No, Jason said. We've got something. What? Me. I'm testifying. You can't. You're not an expert. You're not. I'm a witness. I saw the barrels. I documented them. I took photos. And I can testify to chain of custody. I never left that mine. Never let the evidence out of my sight until Rodriguez arrived. That's not enough. Maybe not, but it's all we've got. Jason grabbed his jacket. Let's go. They drove to the courthouse. Jason, Aria, Shadow, Garrett, and Rodriguez. When they arrived, the media was already there. Cameras, reporters, microphones. Jason pushed through. Didn't stop. Didn't answer questions. Inside the courtroom was packed. Croft sat at the defense table surrounded by attorneys. He looked confident, smug. When he saw Jason, his smile faltered. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Be seated, the judge said. We're here on a motion to suppress evidence. Mr. Croft's counsel, you may proceed. Croft's lead attorney stood, tall, silver-haired, expensive suit. Your Honor, the search warrant in question was issued by Judge Kellerman, who has since been implicated in a bribery scandal involving my client. As such, the warrant is fruit of the poisonous tree. All evidence obtained. Your Honor, Garrett interrupted. May I approach? The judge nodded. Garrett and the defense attorney approached the bench, spoke quietly. The judge listened, then nodded. Step back. Mr. Lewis, please approach. Jason stood, walked forward. Mr. Lewis, I understand you wish to testify. Yes, Your Honor. You're not an expert witness. You're a civilian. I'm a witness to the crime. I saw the evidence in situ. I documented it, and I can testify to its integrity. The judge studied him. Very well. Be sworn in. Jason raised his right hand, took the oath. Then he told the truth. All of it. Finding Arya, the sniper, the mine, the barrels, the photos, the GPS. Everything. He spoke for 20 minutes. The courtroom was silent. When he finished, the judge looked at Croft's attorney. Any cross-examination? The attorney stood. Mr. Lewis, you're not a trained forensic investigator, are you? No. You're not a chemist? No. So you can't actually testify as to what was in those barrels, can you? I can testify to what the labels said, and what my nose told me. Your nose. I've been in countries where chemical weapons were used. I know what industrial poison smells like, and that mine reeked of it. The attorney's smile faded. No further questions. The judge nodded. Mr. Lewis, you may step down. Jason returned to his seat. Arya squeezed his hand. The judge reviewed his notes, then looked up. I'm denying the motion to suppress. The evidence stands, and Mr. Croft, you will stand trial for every charge filed against you. The courtroom erupted. Croft's face went white. His attorneys swarmed him. But it was over. Jason knew it. Arya knew it. Everyone knew it. They'd won. Outside the courthouse, the media descended like locusts. Jason pushed through without speaking. Arya walked beside him, hand gripping his arm. Shadow cleared a path. Mr. Lewis, how does it feel to take down Silas Croft? Officer Vance, will you return to duty? Is it true you're a decorated war hero? Jason kept walking, didn't answer, didn't stop. But then a voice cut through the noise. Mr. Lewis, what about Vincent Torres? Do you think Croft had him killed? Jason stopped, turned. The reporter was young, maybe 25, holding a recorder like it was a weapon. Off the record, Jason asked. On the record. Then no comment. But you were the last person to see Torres alive. You convinced him to testify. Don't you feel responsible for his death? Jason felt Arya's grip tighten on his arm. Felt Shadow press against his leg. Felt the weight of a dozen cameras watching him. Torres made a choice, Jason said quietly. A brave choice. And if Croft had him killed for it, that's one more crime he'll answer for. Will he, though? Croft's attorneys are already filing appeals. They're saying, I don't care what they're saying. The evidence speaks for itself. Jason looked directly into the camera. Torres died trying to do the right thing. The least we can do is make sure it counted. He turned and walked away. They made it to Jason's truck, climbed in, sat in silence for a long moment. You okay? Arya asked. No. You? No. Shadow whined from the back seat. Yeah, boy, Jason said. We're all a mess. Arya laughed, short, bitter. We won. Why doesn't it feel like we won? Because Torres is dead. Because Brody betrayed everyone. Because Croft's still breathing. You think he'll actually serve time? I think his attorneys will drag this out for years. Appeals, motions, technicalities. He might die of old age before he sees the inside of a cell. So we didn't win. We didn't lose. Jason started the engine. That's something. They drove in silence. Jason didn't ask where they were going, just drove. Out of town. Into the hills. Following instinct more than direction. 20 minutes later, they were at the canyon where it had all started. Jason parked, looked out at the valley. The SUV was gone. The blood was gone. But the memory remained. Why'd you bring us here? Arya asked. I don't know, just felt right. They got out. Shadow jumped down, sniffed the air. Arya walked to the spot where she'd been pinned. Stood there, silent. I was ready to die here. she said finally. Had my gun to my head, finger on the trigger, and then I heard Shadow bark. Jason moved beside her. What changed your mind? I don't know. Maybe I was too weak to pull the trigger. Maybe I was too stubborn to give Croft what he wanted, or maybe... She turned to him. Maybe I heard something in that bark, something that said I wasn't alone anymore. You weren't. No, I wasn't. Arya looked down at Shadow. Thank you, boy, for saving my life. Shadow's tail wagged. Jason's phone rang. Garrett. Lewis, where are you? Canyon, where we found Arya. Why? Because we just got a call from Croft's cell. Jason felt his blood go cold. What kind of call? A confession. He wants to talk, wants to make a statement, but he'll only talk to you. Me. Why me? He wouldn't say. Just said if you don't come in the next hour, the offer expires. What's the catch? I don't know, but my gut says it's a trap. Then I won't go. Lewis. He had Torres killed. He tried to have Arya killed. I'm not giving him another chance. This might be our only shot at a full confession, at closing every case, at making sure Torres didn't die for nothing. Jason looked at Arya. She was watching him, listening. What do you think? He asked her. I think Croft doesn't do anything without a reason. If he wants to talk to you, it's because he thinks he can use you. So I don't go. I didn't say that. Arya stepped closer. I said he'll try to use you, but that doesn't mean he'll succeed. Jason looked at Garrett's number on his screen, thought about Torres, about the 3 others Croft had killed over the years, about the families drinking poisoned water. Tell him I'll be there in 40 minutes. You sure? No, but I'm coming anyway. He hung up, looked at Arya. You don't have to do this, she said. Yeah, I do. Why? Because if I don't, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what he wanted to say. And I've got enough ghosts already. They drove back to town, to the federal holding facility where Croft was being detained. Garrett was waiting outside with Rodriguez. He's in interview room 3, Garrett said. No attorneys present. Just him. What's he charged with so far? Conspiracy to commit murder, environmental crimes, bribery, obstruction of justice, enough to put him away for life. So why confess to more? That's what we're hoping you'll find out. Garrett led Jason inside, through security, down a long corridor, to a door marked IR3. You'll be recorded, Garrett said. Audio and video. We'll be watching from the observation room. If anything goes wrong, I'll be fine. Lewis. Garrett put a hand on his shoulder. Croft's dangerous, not physically, but mentally. He's going to try to get in your head. Don't let him. I won't. Jason opened the door, stepped inside. Croft sat at a metal table, hands cuffed to a chain bolted to the floor. He looked older than he had in the courtroom, smaller, like the expensive suit had been holding him together, and without it, he was just a tired old man. Mr. Lewis, Croft said. Thank you for coming. Jason sat across from him. You've got 1 hour. Talk. Straight to business. I respect that. Croft leaned back as far as the chains would allow. I'm going to plead guilty. To everything. Full confession. No trial. No appeals. Why? Because I'm 73 years old. I have prostate cancer. Stage 4. My doctors give me 18 months. Maybe less. Croft smiled. Sad. I'm going to die in prison either way. Might as well die with a clear conscience. You don't have a conscience. No, I suppose I don't. But I have a legacy, and I'd like to control it before I'm gone. What does that have to do with me? Because you're the hero of this story. The Navy SEAL who saved the damsel in distress, who took down the corrupt billionaire, who made everything right. Croft's eyes were sharp, calculating. And I want you to understand something before I die. What's that? That we're not so different, you and I. Jason felt anger rise in his chest. We're nothing alike. No. We both did terrible things in the name of necessity. You killed people in Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan. How many? 20, 50, 100? Those were enemy combatants. Were they all of them? Every single person you killed was a terrorist? Croft leaned forward. Or were some of them just in the wrong place at the wrong time? Collateral damage, acceptable losses. That's different. Is it because I did the same thing? I poisoned a water supply, killed people slowly. But I did it to keep my company afloat, to save jobs, to keep this town alive. Were my reasons worse than yours? Yes. Why? Because you wore a flag on your shoulder, because someone in Washington gave you permission. Croft shook his head. We both killed for what we believed in. The only difference is, you got to go home a hero. Jason stood. I'm done here. Wait. Croft's voice was sharp. Please, sit. Jason hesitated, then sat. I'm not trying to justify what I did, Croft said. I'm trying to make you understand it, because in 18 months, I'll be dead, and you'll still be alive, and you'll spend the rest of your life being celebrated for stopping me. But I want you to carry something with you. What? The knowledge that you and I are products of the same system, a system that values results over morality. That rewards men who do ugly things as long as they do them efficiently. Croft's voice dropped. You think you're better than me because you followed orders, but orders are just someone else's greed, someone else's ambition, someone else's poison. You're wrong. Am I? Then tell me, why did you really help Officer Vance? Because it was right. No, you helped her because Shadow found her, because you needed a mission, because without a war to fight, you're just a man with a gun and no purpose. Croft smiled. I read your file. 12 years in the teams, 3 tours, 17 confirmed kills, and when you came home you couldn't adjust, couldn't hold a job, couldn't maintain relationships. You were lost, broken, until Shadow dragged you into that canyon and gave you something to fight for again. Jason felt his hands curl into fists. You don't know anything about me. I know you better than you know yourself, because I see the same thing in the mirror every morning. A man who justified his actions by telling himself he was doing the right thing, even when the bodies piled up. I saved lives. So did I. This town would have died 20 years ago without my mine, without the jobs, without the money. I kept Red Rock alive. And yes, people got sick. Yes, some died, but more would have died from poverty, from unemployment, from hopelessness. That's not your decision to make. Neither was yours, but you made it anyway. Every time you pulled a trigger, every time you called in an airstrike, every time you chose who lived and who died. Croft leaned back. So before you walk out of here feeling righteous, ask yourself how many innocent people died because of decisions you made, and were their deaths worth it? Jason stood. You're trying to make me doubt myself. It won't work. I'm not trying to make you doubt yourself. I'm trying to make you see yourself clearly. Because in 18 months, I'll be dead. But you'll still be alive, and you'll have to live with the knowledge that you're not the hero everyone thinks you are. You're just another killer who got lucky enough to fight on the winning side. Jason walked to the door, stopped, turned back. You're right about one thing, he said. I've done terrible things. Things that keep me up at night. Things I'll carry until I die. But there's one difference between us. What's that? I did those things to protect people. You did them to protect your bank account. Jason opened the door. So yeah, we're different. And you can die knowing that. He walked out, closed the door behind him. Garrett was waiting in the hall. You okay? Yeah. Did you get his confession? All of it. Recorded, signed, witnessed, He's pleading guilty to all charges. Sentencing in 6 weeks. Good. Louis? I'm fine. I just need some air. Jason walked outside, found Arya waiting by his truck. Shadow beside her. How'd it go? She asked. He confessed. It's over. Then why do you look like someone punched you in the gut? Jason leaned against the truck. He tried to get in my head. Tried to make me think I'm no better than him. Are you? Jason looked at her. What? Are you no better than him? Do you believe that? I don't know, maybe. I've killed people, Arya. A lot of people. And yeah, I was following orders. But does that make it right? Arya stepped closer. Jason, listen to me. You killed people in war. People who were trying to kill you. Trying to kill your team. Trying to harm innocent civilians. That's not the same as poisoning children for profit. Isn't it? No, it's not. Because you had no choice. Croft did. He could have disposed of that waste properly. He could have shut down the operation. He could have done 1,000 things differently. But he chose profit over people. You never had that luxury. I had choices. Did you? Really? Could you have refused orders? Walked away from your team? Let bad people win? Arya grabbed his arm. You did what you had to do to survive, to protect others. That's not the same as what Croft did, and if you let him convince you otherwise, then he wins. Even from prison. Jason looked at her, at the certainty in her eyes, at the faith she had in him despite everything. How do you do that? He asked. Do what? See the best in people, even when they can't see it themselves. Because someone did it for me. When I was at my lowest, when I had a gun to my head, someone showed up and reminded me I was worth saving. She smiled. Sound familiar? Jason felt something break open in his chest, something he'd been holding closed for 12 years. I'm tired, Arya. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of carrying this weight. I'm tired of... Then stop. What? Stop fighting. Stop carrying. Stop trying to be the hero. She moved closer. Just be Jason. Be the man who saved me, who loves his dog, who believes in doing the right thing even when it's hard. That's enough. Is it? Yes. They stood there, close enough to touch, but not quite touching. The moment stretched between them like a promise. Shadow barked. Once. Sharp. They both turned. Rodriguez was running toward them, face urgent. What is it? Jason asked. It's Brody. He's asking for you. Why? He won't say. But he's in bad shape. Medical says he tried to hang himself in his cell. They cut him down in time, but... Rodriguez stopped. He's not going to make it. Maybe a few hours. He wants to see you before he goes. Jason looked at Arya. She nodded. I'll come with you, she said. They drove to the county jail. Brody was in the infirmary, handcuffed to a hospital bed, bruises on his throat, breathing through an oxygen mask. When he saw Jason and Arya, he pulled the mask down. Thank you for coming, he rasped. Why'd you do it? Jason asked. Why try to kill yourself? Because I'm a coward. Always have been. Brody coughed, blood on his lips. When Croft got arrested, I thought I could live with what I'd done. Thought I could serve my time and maybe find some kind of peace. But then I heard about Torres, heard what happened, and I knew. Knew what? That it was my fault. If I'd been stronger, if I'd stood up to Croft years ago, Torres would still be alive. Officer Vance wouldn't have been shot. None of this would have happened. Arya stepped forward. Sheriff, don't. Brody held up a hand. Don't tell me it's not my fault. It is. All of it. Every drop of poison. Every person who got sick. Every life Croft destroyed. I could have stopped it. I didn't. So you tried to take the easy way out, Jason said. Yeah, I did. But... Brody coughed again. Harder. The monitor beside his bed started beeping. But I need to tell you something first. Something important. What? Croft's not done. Even from prison, he's got contingencies. People on the outside. People who'll keep his operation running. Who? His nephew, Marcus Croft, runs a shell company out of Phoenix. Been laundering money for years. If Silas goes down, Marcus takes over. The mine, the dumping, everything. Jason felt his jaw tighten. You have proof. In my house, locked safe. Combination is my badge number. Documents, bank records. Everything you need to take Marcus down, too. Why didn't you tell the FBI? Because I wanted to tell you first. Wanted you to know, wanted you to understand. Brody's voice was failing. I'm sorry. For everything. I'm so sorry. The monitor's beeping turned to a steady tone. Nurses rushed in, pushed Jason and Arya aside. They worked for 5 minutes, then stopped. Brody was gone. Outside, Jason stood in the parking lot. Arya beside him, Shadow at their feet. He died trying to do one decent thing, Arya said. Doesn't make up for the bad things. No, but it's something. Jason called Garrett. Told him about Marcus Croft. About the safe. About Brody's last confession. We'll get a warrant, Garrett said. Search the house tonight. If what Brody said is true, we'll have Marcus in custody by morning. Good. Lewis, you did good work here, all of you. Arya, Shadow. This town owes you. The town doesn't owe me anything. Maybe not, but I do. We all do. Jason hung up, looked at Arya. What now? She asked. Now? Jason thought about it. Now we wait. See if Marcus is really running Croft's operation. See if this ever really ends. And if it doesn't, then we fight again, like we always do. Arya smiled. We. I like the sound of that. Yeah. They stood there, watching the sun set, the sky turning red and gold. Shadow lay down between them, content, at peace. Jason felt something he hadn't felt in 12 years, something he'd almost forgotten the name for. Hope. 3 weeks later, Marcus Croft was arrested. The documents in Brody's safe were everything they needed. Bank records, shell companies, illegal transactions dating back 15 years. The mine was shut down. The EPA began cleanup operations. The town's water supply was tested, treated, made safe again. Silas Croft died in prison 6 weeks after his sentencing. Cancer. Just like he'd predicted. But before he died, he gave one final interview. Admitted everything. Named names. Closed every case. The town held a ceremony. Honored Officer Arya Vance. Honored Jason Lewis. Honored Shadow. They stood on a makeshift stage in the town square. Hundreds of people watching, cheering. The mayor gave a speech. Called them heroes. Called them saviors. Arya leaned over to Jason. Whispered, "This feel as weird to you as it does to me." Weirder. Can we leave? Not yet. Shadow's enjoying it. Shadow was sitting perfectly still, tail wagging as children lined up to pet him. He wore a new collar, engraved. A hero's heart. After the ceremony, they walked to the diner, sat in their usual booth, ordered coffee. So, Arya said, what's next for you? I don't know. Thought I'd stick around for a while. See if Red Rock needs a... He stopped. I don't actually know what I'd do here. You could train dogs. Shadow's pretty smart. Maybe you could teach other dogs to be like him. Maybe. What about you? You going back to the force. Already did. Got cleared for duty yesterday. That's fast. Yeah, but the town needs cops, good ones. Can't let what happened with Brody make me quit. No, you can't. They drank their coffee in comfortable silence. Then Arya spoke. I've been thinking about something. What's that? About what you said, at the canyon, about having enough ghosts already. Yeah, I've got ghosts too. My mom, the people I couldn't save, the cases that went cold. And I used to think carrying those ghosts was my penance, my punishment for not being good enough. And now I think maybe the ghosts aren't punishment. Maybe they're reminders. Reminders of why we fight, why we keep going, why we don't give up even when it seems hopeless. Jason looked at her. That's a better way to think about it. Yeah, it is, she smiled. So maybe we carry our ghosts together, make them a little lighter. I'd like that. Me too. Shadow put his head on Jason's lap. Jason scratched behind his ears. What do you think, boy? Should we stick around? Shadow's tail wagged. I'll take that as a yes. Arya laughed. He's a smart dog. The smartest. They finished their coffee, walked outside. The sun was setting again. Red and gold, the same colors as the first day. But everything felt different now. Jason had spent 12 years running from ghosts, running from himself. But standing here with Arya beside him and Shadow at his feet, he realized something. He wasn't running anymore. He'd found something worth staying for. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Arya turned to him. You know what my mom used to say? She said God doesn't always send angels with wings. Yeah. Sometimes he sends them with paws. Jason looked down at Shadow, at the dog who'd saved them both, who'd dragged him into that canyon, who'd refused to let evil win. Your mom was right. She usually was. They walked toward Jason's truck. The town stretched out behind them, healing, recovering, finding its way back to something like normal. Jason climbed in. Arya climbed in beside him. Shadow jumped in back. Where to? Jason asked. Home, Arya said. Wherever that is. Jason started the engine. I think I'm starting to figure that out. Yeah. Home isn't a place. It's the people you fight for, the people you die for, the people who remind you why living matters. Arya took his hand. I like that definition. Me too. They drove through Red Rock as the streetlights flickered on. Past the courthouse, past the hospital, past the canyon where it all began. Jason thought about Croft, about Brody, about Torres, about all the people who'd died or betrayed or chosen wrong when it mattered most. He thought about choices, about the thin line between hero and villain, about how easy it was to cross that line when you stopped asking whether something was right and only asked whether it was necessary. But then he looked at Arya, at the woman who'd been ready to die rather than surrender her integrity, who'd fought back against impossible odds, who'd chosen truth even when lies would have been easier. And he looked at Shadow, at the dog who'd saved them both, who'd never doubted, who'd run toward danger without hesitation because that's what love looked like in action. And Jason realized something Croft had never understood. The difference between them wasn't orders or flags or justifications. It was love. Jason had killed to protect people he loved, to save strangers who'd become brothers, to stop evil from spreading. Croft had killed to protect money, power, status. That was the difference. That would always be the difference. And as they drove into the deepening night, Jason felt the weight he'd been carrying for 12 years finally begin to lift. He wasn't perfect. He never would be. He'd made mistakes. He'd carry those ghosts until the day he died. But he'd also done good. Real good. The kind that saved lives and restored hope and reminded people that courage still mattered, and that was worth living for. Jason, Arya said softly, yeah, thank you for everything, for saving me, for fighting for this town, for showing me what real courage looks like. You showed me first. No, I showed you survival, You showed me how to live again." Jason squeezed her hand. "We showed each other." "Yeah, we did." Shadow barked once from the back seat, his way of saying he'd shown them both. They laughed. Together. The sound filling the truck, chasing away the last of the darkness. And as Red Rock disappeared in the rearview mirror, Jason Lewis retired. Navy SEAL hero Broken Man Made Whole finally understood what he'd been searching for all these years. Redemption wasn't about erasing the past. It was about building a future worth believing in. And he'd just found his. God doesn't always send angels with wings. Sometimes he sends them with paws. Sometimes he sends them with badges and courage and the stubborn refusal to quit even when death comes calling. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, he sends them to remind you that no matter how dark the night gets, morning always comes. For Jason Lewis, Shadow, and Officer Aria Vance. Morning had finally arrived, and it was beautiful.